For thousands of years, people in the jungle found a secret that could fix sadness and emotional issues in one night. They claimed it could cure what America's modern doctors can't. But in 1970, the government banned it from the public. They instead spent billions on a health system that made people sicker. Today, we're just starting to learn the secret these tribes already knew for centuries. Celebrities like Joe Rogan, Aaron Rodgers, and Will Smith are raving about it. Harvard doctors are spending millions to study it. And after using it, people say their pain goes away in weeks when years of therapy didn't work. That secret is ayahuasca. In this video, you'll learn about how ayahuasca works, why it's becoming popular, and how it's changing the way we think about medicine. This is 1,000 years of ayahuasca wisdom in one simple story.
Ayahuasca, the issue of ayahuasca.
Controversial topic, ayahuasca.
How did you find out about DMT?
Did ayahuasca was in Brazil.
I will meet with local shamans to drink an ancient psychedelic drug, ayahuasca.
Before we talk about what ayahuasca is, we need to talk about why it matters. America spends more on healthcare than any country in the world. Over $13,000 per person every year. That's $3,000 more than the next closest country. But we're still really sad and emotionally upset. Almost 1 in 3 adults have been told they have depression. About 60 million had some kind of mental problem just this past year. In 2023, almost 13 million adults had serious thoughts of ending it. 1.5 million people actually tried. 49,000 people succeeded. We see more doctors and take more pills than anyone in history. We feel worse than ever before. So what's happening? How can a country spending the most keep getting sicker? Maybe we've been looking in the wrong place all along, because while we build expensive hospitals, tribes in the jungle found a plant that works as well as our best medicine. For generations, tribes like the Shipibo and Akchuar figured out how to heal the human mind in ways that our modern medicine still can't explain. They call it ayahuasca. Ayahuasca is made from 2 different plants brewed together. It's a psychedelic, like LSD or magic mushrooms, but it works in a very different way. The first plant is a jungle shrub called Psychotria viridis. Its green leaves look ordinary, but inside is DMT, a chemical that creates powerful visions in the brain. For centuries, tribes added these leaves to the brew, turning a bitter jungle tea into something that could open the mind. Here's where it gets interesting. Your brain is already making DMT right now. As you watch this, small amounts are being produced naturally. Scientists think it's released when you dream, maybe at birth, and possibly at death. That's why it's called the spirit molecule. So if we make DMT already, why don't we feel it? First, our bodies don't make enough. The amounts are too small to notice. That's why people turn to plants like Psychotria viridis, which hold much more. Second, your body makes something called monoamine oxidase, or MAO. MAO acts like a demolition crew. It clears DMT from your gut before it can reach your brain. This is why people smoke DMT instead. It skips the gut, goes straight into your lungs, into your blood, and up to your brain in seconds. The effect is intense, like being launched out of a cannon, but it only lasts usually 10 minutes. Ayahuasca, on the other hand, turns 10 minutes into 10 hours, creating a much deeper experience. And it's all because tribes added a second plant, Banisteriopsis caapi, a vine that wraps around trees deep in the rainforest. Inside the vine are special chemicals called MAO inhibitors. Instead of letting MAO destroy the DMT, these inhibitors tell it to stand down and let the DMT through. Because of this, the DMT from Psychotria viridis finally makes it through the gut, then into the blood slowly, and is released into the brain over several hours. This is when the magic happens. Now, ayahuasca isn't some ancient ritual that disappeared centuries ago. It's still actually happening today, almost exactly in the same way it has for generations. In the Amazon, we'll still travel deep into the jungle for all-night ceremonies led by shamans. At night, a group gathers in a hut while the shamans sing traditional songs called icaros, guide their experience. Each person drinks a cup of the thick, bitter brew and waits as the night unfolds. Some laugh, some cry, others face their darkest memories. Almost everyone vomits, a process called the purge. It might sound awful, but many describe it as years of pain and stress leaving the body. Then come the visions, hours of vivid colors, old memories, and sometimes what feels like messages from something greater than yourself. People often describe these ceremonies as the most powerful healing of their lives. Veterans with PTSD finally sleep through the night. People end decades of addiction. Marriages are saved when anger carried since childhood is finally released. These stories are remarkable, and they're happening everywhere. Because of results like these, people are starting to compare ayahuasca to therapy. Traditional therapy can take years to process trauma and change negative thought patterns, but ayahuasca seems to do the same thing in a single week. If you're skeptical, that makes sense. These claims sound impossible, but brain science now shows exactly what happens during ayahuasca, and it explains everything. When DMT from the brew reaches the brain, it balances out something called the default mode network, or DMN. Think of the DMN as your brain's most annoying roommate. It can be the voice that won't stop talking, keeping you up at night, replaying mistakes, telling you you're not good enough, and locking you into the same thought loops over and over. On brain scans, the DMN lights up in people with depression and anxiety. But during ayahuasca, scans show it going completely dark, like someone finally told that roommate to be quiet and leave. When this happens, different parts of the brain that rarely communicate begin connecting. Emotional memory areas link with logical thinking areas. Old trauma can be processed without the inner critic interfering. The brain starts rewiring itself, building new pathways around the damaged one. That's why people describe decades of negative thoughts disappearing. It's not magic, it's brain science. By turning off the network that traps you in bad patterns, the mind gets a chance to reset. Our healthcare system spends billions treating these problems, but rarely solves them. Meanwhile, Amazonian tribes found a way to address the root cause with just 2 plants. But you're probably wondering, if ayahuasca can do all of this, why isn't it everywhere? Why don't doctors prescribe it? Why isn't it in hospitals? This is where the story gets dark. By the late 1960s, psychedelics were spreading across America. Students, activists, and civil rights leaders were using them while also protesting the Vietnam War and fighting racism. The government felt cornered. These movements were too big, too loud, and too powerful. Nixon could not ban protests or civil rights because that would break the Constitution, so he attacked the drugs instead. In 1970, Nixon signed the Controlled Substances Act, making DMT as illegal as heroin. The government said it was for public safety, but while alcohol kills nearly 180,000 Americans every year and stays legal, the best data shows no deaths have ever been recorded from ayahuasca alone. Years later, one of Nixon's own advisors admitted the truth. It was never about safety. It was about power. By banning psychedelics, the government gained a weapon to raid meetings, arrest activists, and silence the voices fighting back. For 50 years, while America's mental health crisis grew worse, this medicine stayed locked away. But slowly, things began to change. An underground market grew where only the wealthy could access it. Celebrities, tech founders, and executives started flying to Peru and Colombia to take part in ayahuasca ceremonies they could not get at home. And after decades of being told this plant was dangerous, some of those celebrities began to speak publicly about their experiences. Aaron Rodgers is a famous football player who went on TV and said ayahuasca helped clear his mind so he could play better.
I've been enjoying it since I did ayahuasca. So the last few years have been great. And went down to Machu Picchu in Peru and had magical experiences there in Peru in the Sacred Valley, and then had a couple really interesting nights on the medicine and came back a changed person.
Mike Tyson said it best. Everyone thought I was crazy. I bit someone's ear off. I did all this crazy stuff, and then I tried the mushrooms and my whole life changed.
And then once I got introduced to the shrooms and the toad and all those psilocybins, my whole life changed. I started boxing. Look what I'm doing now.
He could afford the best doctors in the world, but he says plant medicine saved his life. Even Prince Henry wrote in his book that he used ayahuasca to deal with his mother's death. But the person who changed everything was Joe Rogan. While celebrities reached their own fans, Rogan reached everyone. He talks about ayahuasca on his show, which more than 300 million people listen to every month. Rogan made it normal for regular people to be curious about plant medicine. He shifted the conversation from dangerous drugs to exploring your mind. Here's where it really gets interesting. The top schools and hospitals in America are now studying ayahuasca to understand why it works so well. Johns Hopkins spent $17 million to build a research center for studying psychedelics. Harvard, NYU, and 11 other leading medical schools are now running FDA-approved studies on ayahuasca. Those are some of the best institutions in the world, and their research shows ayahuasca helps about 64% of people with depression other treatments could not fix. The numbers show just how big this is becoming. The psychedelic therapy market could be worth $6.8 billion by 2027. This could replace years of therapy with months of real healing. It might change how we treat addiction, PTSD, and even the fear of dying. Kids growing up today may see psychedelic therapy as normal as taking medicine for an infection. The secret is finally out. But despite all this research, there's something strange that happens during an ayahuasca experience that scientists can't explain. People from opposite sides of the world who have never met often describe almost the exact same visions. They talk about being shown answers to their problems or even feeling like they were speaking to something intelligent. A farmer in Peru and a business owner in New York can drink ayahuasca years apart and still describe almost the same experience. Even skeptics who do not believe in anything spiritual often say the same thing. I don't know what I saw, but it knew me and it helped me. Scientists can measure what ayahuasca does in the brain. They can see the healing on scans, but they cannot explain why strangers across time and place describe the same visions and why those visions help people change their lives. Is it just the brain or something more? Maybe the best medicine was never in hospitals. Maybe it has been waiting in the jungle all along. A reminder that the cure for our deepest wounds might not be something we invent, but something we remember.